In this video we're very quickly going to learn how to model in the assembly environment. First of all, open up the USB assembly, and we have up the top left corner two options. We have an option to place a component and to create a component. What we're going to do in this instance is create three components: a middle section for the USB, a top and a bottom part. Select create. You can give your new part a name, so we'll call this middle, and using this little browse template option we're going to find our metric standard millimeter IPT part, so click OK. What we're now going to do is, under the left hand side options of origin, we're going to pick a suitable datum plane, so the XY datum plane, and what you'll notice now is the assembly has gone grey and we're actually creating a new part here. So what we're going to do is create a 2D sketch. We're going to select a suitable datum plane, so this one will go right down the center of our USB, and the 3D view of the USB part will now rotate to a 2D view. We now have all the basic tools along the top bar, and we're going to use this line tool here. Begin with the line tool. You can zoom in, click once, and we're going to begin by creating a small ledge around which we can fit the USB. So this ledge now will stop this USB pulling out of its plastic casing. I'm now going to create a very quick and very rough design. You can create something a lot more complex using the line tool by simply clicking and moving the tool. What I'm now going to do is create the edge, and using that dotted line as a guide, I know that those two will both sit at the right height. I'm going to zoom in and then simply draw that ledge into the other side. So as you can see, now we have two ledges, top and bottom, to stop the USB pulling out. I'm now going to complete the line work by going back round to the original position and effectively creating something called a closed loop. Now it's really important we click to close that loop, to close that line work, and as you can see now we have a closed design for our USB, and we can use the circle tool to very quickly add a small hole in here. This is all drawn freehand, there's no dimensions or measurements included, so this is purely very visual as we see it. Finish the sketch using the top option of finish sketch, and if we now choose to extrude, we will see that we can select this line work and we can see an extrusion. What I'm going to do here is use the view cube and click on this surface of the view cube here to see how far I'm projecting this geometry. And from the pop-up box I'm going to choose this option here as an asymmetric projection. What this allows me to do is not only project both directions from the center line, but also to decide a height for one side of my USB, which just creeps past the top of the USB, and from the other side again choose that height, and you'll notice that they are different amounts. Having done that, turn it back to a 3D view, and I'm going to click the tick here or click OK here, and I've finalised that first part. What I'm now going to do is double click on the left hand side of the assembly, and we're now back to the beginning. I now have the middle part created, and the USB will sit inside and it will not fall out the front. What I'm now going to do is repeat the process by clicking create. Again, we'll call this one top for now. Repeat the process, so locate from the metric options a standard millimeter part, and this time we're going to click on this top surface here. Choose to create 2D line work, and again repeat the process by clicking on the top surface. We're going to model now onto this top surface. What we now have is a new surface to draw onto. I could begin with the line tool and begin to click and drag and move around, but there's some key dimensions that I want to bring from the middle part to the top part. So I'm going to use this button here that says project geometry, and what I want to do is I want to pick up this corner here and this corner here, the geometry from below. The reason why I want to pick these up is I want to actually connect to these points so that the whole front of the USB lines up. And I could add some extra geometry here, so I'm going to add this point here, and I might add this point here, and likewise I might want to pick up that circle there so the whole is consistent all the way through. With this geometry selected now, I can move back to my line tool, and this time I'm going to close where the USB is and continue my design process by creating a different profile on the top. So this time I'm changing the pattern of line work. I'm going to return back to my projected geometry. Again, I have a closed loop, so I'm going to just double check that that circle has been created, so draw a circle in its place. Finish the sketch, and again I'm going to extrude. I'm going to choose the new geometry on the top surface. Again, I'm going to use the view cube to rotate the view, and I'm going to drag this to a suitable thickness. If you're laser cutting, it's well worth noting that typical acrylic will come in 3mm thicknesses, so we might want to enter a measurement of 3mm to get a realistic view of this product. Click OK, and when we move to a 3D view, you can now see we have the top plate. We also have this work plane on view, so on the left hand side, right click on the work plane and click to untick visibility. You can now see the part more realistically. And lastly, double click where it says USB flash stick, and we can now see that we're back in the assembly and we have 2 of the 3 parts done. I'll leave it to you now to work out how to add the third part in yourself, and then what you should have is a middle, top and bottom acrylic part which you can then work on separately to laser cut.